Hey, welcome everybody. I hope everyone's having a great day. I know I am. Let me know if for some reason you can't hear me. I just want to make sure that my mic is working properly. Maybe you could send me a comment in there and just kind of give me a heads up. Yes, it's working, or no, it's not working. Anyway, let's see. Yeah, I think we're getting out here. Awesome. Hey, it's a rough world out there, isn't it? Man, it's hard to get a job. I just want to welcome you to the Jerry Rig Podcast, where we talk about business analysts, marketing, or business analytics, marketing, and technology. I am your host, Jerry Sherstead. And one of the hardest things to do these days is to show Salesforce experience when you don't have experience. Today, I'm going to give you 5 ways you can show a Salesforce experience. Okay, maybe not even 5, maybe 6. Might even have 6. Yep. And if you stay to the end, I'm going to give you a silver bullet. We'll call it my bonus bullet tip that will blow your mind. That's one of the coolest things that I've kind of put together. And I don't think it's anything new, but I think you're going to love it. So let's get things fired up, get a little music going. How's that?
Yeah.
This is the Jerry Rigged Podcast, your no-nonsense knowledge base for business technology, marketing, and analytics. And now your host, Jerry Sherstead.
So back again here. We're going to really get into some deep stuff that I think you guys are going to like. This rapidly changing Salesforce space, standing out is not, it's just not an option. Yeah, I mean, you got to do it. You got to stand out. But how do you showcase your experience, grab attention, and show that you have this experience? Because experience is really at the core of pretty much everything. So I have a presentation we're going to jump into. And it's called 5 Innovative Ways to Show Salesforce Experience. I have 28 years as an entrepreneur, technology, marketing, and business consulting. And so I'm probably a little ADD or ADHD. And, that's just kind of how I roll, I guess. So let's move on. If you want to reach me going forward, you can book me if you want to get some professional advice. And you can do that at bookjerry.me, or you can follow me at #JerryRigged to rock your business technology. Or you can ping me on LinkedIn anytime you want. And usually I'll respond if I'm not buried. Today's goal. Here's what I want to do. I want to teach you to think differently. So we are going to get into some methodologies on how to show experience and some creative ways to do that. But what we have to do is think a little bit differently. So it's going to be worth your while to stick around till the end. So here's my promise. Today you're going to walk away with a fresh perspective. Let's see here. We got folks chiming in. Everyone having a good day? Well, let's see if we got some folks that live where we got sunshine. I'm in Arizona. We got sunshine in Arizona. Anybody else got rain or snow? Yeah, let me know in the comments. So today my promise is you're going to walk away with a fresh perspective, okay? And you will be motivated to try new things. And you're going to start thinking outside the box, not thinking inside the box. Because these days you got to pull out all those tools. And you got to learn how to be a rebel, just a little bit. And if you stay to the end, I'm going to give you a silver bullet method of showing experience. Okay? So what is the correct answer to this next question? I want you to think about it. It said it's raining in Kitchener, Ontario. Okay. That's Adiola. All right, rain. Hey, from Seattle, we got rain and a little snow. What? Snow? I'm from Tacoma, Washington, so Seattle's kind of my little hometown. So what's the correct answer here, folks? Is the glass of water half full or half empty? Anyone know what the correct answer is? If you know the correct answer to this, now this is my opinion, put it in the comments. What's the correct answer? Half full, is it half full or half empty? Here's the correct answer. It's both. How's that? It is half full and it is half empty. So that's how I want you to think going forward, right? There you go. Let's see who else got it. Manije. Yes, I've talked to Manije before. So let's talk about the term experience, okay? Because this is super important for today's lesson. What is experience? Okay? Experience, now this is just the textbook definition. It's a direct observation or participation in events as a basis of knowledge. Think about that. In order to know something, you got to observe it and you got to participate in it, and now you have experience. The fact or state of having been affected or gained knowledge through direct observation or participation. Practical knowledge, skill, or practice derived from direct observation or participation. That is what we call experience, okay? For instance, this little boy here got up Saturday morning and had no experience as a carpenter. Nothing. And then he spent the day with his dad. Now he has experience. Did he have a job as a carpenter? Not really. Was he a professional? Probably not. Was he very, very adept, considered an expert? No, not really. But he does have experience. Okay? So here is my buddy Steve Clutterbuck. That's his LinkedIn profile. So maybe you can chime in on the chat and tell me what you see that is out of whack on this profile. What do you think? Go ahead. Any volunteers, chime in on the chat. I want you to look at this LinkedIn profile for Steve Clutterbuck. And aside from the fact that, the guy is kind of goofy, talk to me about what you think is wrong with this, or out of whack, or not normal in this LinkedIn profile. Let's see. We got any comments? We're going to take a guess. We don't want to burn up too much time here, so I'm going to go ahead and tell you. You see down there in what is normally the experience section? Yeah. Full-time legitimate jobs can only show jobs 2 years or longer? Never seen that, right? Well, that's because it doesn't exist. It's called the experience section, LinkedIn experience section. So if you get up in the morning and you've never made coffee before, and then somebody teaches you how to make coffee, and you make 1 cup of coffee, you now have experience, okay? So I want you to think about that. Internship says, I am the best Salesforce. Yes. Okay, experience is experience is experience. I personally, I average about 4 to 8 telephone calls and emails a day from recruiters. Why? Because I have some experience. I accepted a project. It ended after 2 weeks. Flipped back. If your role was part-time or full-time, internship, volunteer, job, project. If you took a project, it ended after a week. You took a project, it ended after 2 months. That is all experience. So let's put it in one bucket called experience. Here's a few things I learned, and this is something you got to understand about this system, this ecosystem, is there's a lot less going on, believe it or not, than you think. Your mind can kind of trick you into thinking everything has to be perfect. Everything has to be perfect. It doesn't. I've had about 70 job interviews over the past 4 months. And here's one of the things I learned. 60% or more of hiring managers have no clue about the ecosystem, the Salesforce ecosystem. Most want to know that you have experience. They don't know the ecosystem. Some of them don't even know that there is a thing called Trailhead. They don't know this stuff. Or even that Salesforce. I talked to several folks who, over the past 4 months, who did not even know that Salesforce had certification program. Who would have known? Out of 70 interviews, I saw roughly 8, 9, maybe 10 hiring managers or recruiters that made any mention of certifications or asked me, hey, are you a certified administrator? 90% of them just never even asked. So here's the things that we do know. You got to have the fundamentals, right? Now, these are my fundamentals. These are kind of what I came up with. And you think about them as 4 legs under a table. If you're missing one leg, then the table doesn't stand very well. So what we're going to do is look at jobs available. Well, are there jobs available? Are there jobs in the Salesforce ecosystem? Oh, of course there are. Because if you don't have any jobs, then, what's the point? You got to find another industry to get involved in. So we got that. That's pretty straightforward. Education, certifications, Trailhead, college. Let's see, what else? Anywhere you can get education and certifications. If you got that, most of us are getting our certifications. We're learning things on Trailhead. So that's kind of nailed. And then skills, hard and soft. You got hard skills, soft skills. Are you a nice person? Do you get along with people? Are you pleasant to be around? Are you a positive thinker? All those things. We can kind of get that. So really, the golden ticket, the piece that is always left, and the reason why you're here is this piece called experience. And we just talked about the definition of experience, so we're going to get more into this. So let's analyze a LinkedIn profile, okay? Here is Susie Johnson. And go ahead and start looking at this. And if you see anything that you think could be fixed or tweaked or added to make her profile more, let's say, sellable, more exciting to a recruiter or a hiring manager. So let's take a look at that. Susie Johnson. She is an aspiring Salesforce platform developer. Sweet. She's got some trailheads to hit. And her little tagline is, I love the Salesforce CRM community. Awesome. So she did an internship at Big Boss Consulting, and she's still there in Phoenix, Arizona. She took a career break before that. She helped her husband with his business. So apparently her husband he's an electrical contractor. So let's see here. Someone said, and I think Manisha might have this pretty well nailed. Internship, but says I am the best Salesforce. Okay. Yeah, that's probably legitimate. Okay, let's see here. Alexi, career break. That's a good one. I like that one. All right, here's what we're going to do. We are going to, let's see here. Not really a career break. Those skills are all transferable. Yes. No need to mention the husband. Right. Hey, we like wives and husbands, but we don't need them on our LinkedIn profile, right? So we're going to revamp Susie's profile, and I'm going to tell you why I did it the way I did it. Here we go. I asked Susie, hey, so Susie, is that your real name? Oh, no. I was born with the name Susan. Bingo. Let's use Susan. Susan sounds more mature, more professional. Just that little extra 10%. That's all we need. Susan is a Salesforce administrator. She actually has her admin certification, so we're putting that up front. And we're going to call her a CRM manager. I mean, she is in Salesforce. That's a CRM. She's managing it, so we're going to call her a Salesforce CRM manager. She's just doesn't like the ecosystem or Salesforce. She is now an experienced Salesforce administrator who does data management and security, turning data into actionable insights, seeking to drive questions. It's hard for me to see as well. Drive operational excellence in tech. Okay, so that's good. Then she was a intern at Big Boss Consulting, right? Yeah, she is no longer an intern. I mean, internally, yeah, I'm sure payroll calls her an intern, but she's a Salesforce administrator, period. And that's what you are. You are not an intern. You are not a volunteer. You are a Salesforce administrator. You're doing the work of a Salesforce administrator, so call yourself a Salesforce administrator. I get rid of everything like part-time, full-time, remote, on-site, hybrid. It just doesn't matter, folks. It doesn't matter. The less information you give on your resume and your profile, the better that most hiring managers and recruiters are going to assume. If a hiring manager looks at this profile, they are going to assume that Susan Johnson is a Salesforce administrator. She works full-time. She has a regular run-of-the-mill job. She's part of the team. And that's what we want them to assume. Now, if you get in an interview, we don't have to lie. And if they ask you, hey, is this a full-time role? Yes, it is full-time. Okay. Oh, are you a W-2 employee or are you an intern? They're never going to ask that. Never, ever, 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 ever. Let's see. And then career break. Remember, she had a career break. She didn't have a career break. Her husband and her husband have an electrical contracting business, and he had a electrical contracting industry-specific CRM platform to run his business, to manage leads, book appointments. She ran that for him. So guess what? She was the CRM manager at Colgan Electric, period. So that's how I want you to think going forward. Now we're going to get into some good stuff. 5 ways to show Salesforce experience. So one of the things I want you to do is I want you to think about putting together a story toolbox. And let me tell you something. One thing, I got really, really good at getting job interviews. I really did. And that really was never my problem. I can get job interviews. I can get 3, 4, 5 a week, every single week for the next year. No problem. My problem was getting through the interview and impressing them to the point where they wanted to give me a job offer, okay? So one of the things that I put together, and I got this off of a lady off of YouTube, and if you want, I can give you her video and give you a link later. She has what they call a story toolbox. And you want to have these stories because when you're in job interviews, you're telling stories. You know, you're talking about case studies. You're talking about, problems and what the action you took and the results. So you're going to create all these little case studies and stories that you've experienced or you've done on projects or whatever, and you're going to put them in your story toolbox, and then you're going to have them at the ready during your interview. So let's talk about the story toolbox. It can be used for most interview questions. You're going to get questions like, hey, what major challenges and problems did you face? How did you solve them? What is your greatest strength? What is your greatest weakness? How do you handle stress, Jerry? Do you get like all worked up and bent out of shape? What was the biggest accomplishment in this position? Tell me about a time when blah, 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 blah. All of these questions can be answered out of your story toolbox, every single one of them. And trust me, these questions will come up. Now, I talk about things that almost never happen, like they never ask you, was that last job an internship? But these questions, they will ask you. Hiring managers want to know this information. Let's see here. Not really a career break. All right. Okay. Want to make sure I'm not missing any good questions here. Certifications. They're your first line of defense. Now, normally I kind of talk them down a little bit because they're nowhere near as important as you might think they are, but it's kind of a first line of defense. And so number one in your experience is going to be certifications, trailhead, all that. Don't just list them. You can narrate a short story about your journey to each certification, the challenges, how it propelled your expertise, and now you are showing that you have experience, right? This is experience. This is building this foundation brick by brick. Projects. Let's talk about projects. There are so many things you can do. You could get together with your local Salesforce group. Here in Phoenix, it's called the Phoenix Admin Group. You could get together with, let's say, 2 of the people, right? You get together and maybe every Saturday for a month. And then after that, maybe once a month, you get together on Zoom or in person, and you guys just invent a project. Just come up with a project. And then you get into a playground, a Salesforce playground, and you work on that project together. And you do this on an ongoing basis. Now, you've been working together, building out this project. It could be anything, flows or doing implementation. Like an implementation would be great. Well, guys, we're going to implement a brand new company, ABC Landscaping. And then you get together. Now, 3 months later, you got experience on your LinkedIn resume, your LinkedIn profile, and your resume. It has the name of the project, and people are going to look at that and they're just going to assume you had a job. You don't have to volunteer the information one way or the other. So participate in collaborations with other professionals, your friends, your local buddies. Document it, journey the role, and then highlight the teamwork, leadership, and technical skills that you learn. Now put that on your experience section, because remember, on the LinkedIn profile, it's not a job section, it's an experience section. And then put that also, case study. Hey, have you ever done an implementation? Yeah, actually, we just finished a project and we did an implementation. Here's what we did, blah, 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 blah. I was in charge of A, B, C, D, E. So that's really, really good way to show experience. Number 3, you probably heard this one before, volunteer for a nonprofit. Nonprofits are that, even though they make a lot of money a lot of times, but nonprofits are always open for volunteers. Because remember, you're not going to put on your resume or your profile volunteer. You're going to go to local nonprofits. It could be even a national nonprofit. Call them up. Talk to them. Hey, I am a Salesforce administrator. I am certified, and I want to volunteer and donate some of my time. And first of all, you got to do a little research and find out who's using Salesforce, but a lot of them are. And here's what I'll tell you. If they're using Salesforce NPSP, which is a nonprofit flavor of Sales Cloud, and then you get 3 to 6 months experience working on that platform, that particular skill set is in pretty good demand. And I'll tell you why. Because there's not a lot of people that know how to use it. So NPSP, nonprofit cloud, any of that stuff, if you get some good experience and then you get that on your LinkedIn profile with the keywords and all that stuff going, yeah, you're going to get some calls from recruiters. So document your impact, challenges solved, and feature this prominently. Add to your experience section and your story toolbox. And there's, like I said, there's lots of demand for nonprofit cloud. Okay, internship. Internships are not just for, 18-year-olds who just got out of high school or 21-year-olds who are in the middle of college. Internships can be anybody. There are thousands of Salesforce consultancies, and if you go on the App Exchange and you look for a Salesforce partner, you'll see a ton of them. So connect with them on LinkedIn and just be upfront. I'm a Salesforce admin looking for experience, and I want to get in there, roll my sleeves up, and I'm willing to donate my time purely to learn as an intern. And many companies love that whole education piece, and they will bring you on as an intern. And mind you, Now let's say, for instance, you get an internship at Slalom or one of the larger Salesforce partners. Now you can put that on your resume, and you're not going to put intern, right? You're just gonna put that as experience. Like having Slalom or Accenture or Deloitte or any of these corporations, those guys are a little harder to get internships from, so you might find some smaller ones. Create a cover letter to connect with them. Use ChatGPT to write something kind of cool. And then listen to your experience section, and you can create case studies, and then, of course, add it to your story toolbox. All right? Let's see. Any other comments here? Nope. Okay. Case studies. This is how you show experience. You can create case studies out of almost anything. Let's say you had a job as a Salesforce intern for 6 months. You helped them do an implementation during that 6 months, let's say. Let's say you built out a bunch of dashboards and reports during that 6 months. Let's say you onboarded 20 new employees onto, or users onto the org. Let's say you did backup. You can create case studies for every single one of those, okay? So, and there's what they call the STAR method, and I actually heard about the PAR method, and I love it because it's just easier to remember for me anyway. So, PAR method for a case study: problem, action, result. If you format them all like that, they're super easy to do. They're super easy to understand. Then you can put them in your story toolbox. And every single interview, somebody somewhere is going to ask you, so tell me about a time when, or talk to me about a project you worked on. Yeah. We did an implementation, and here's what the problem was, blah, blah, blah. Here's what we did to overcome it. And the net result was everybody was happy. So use that in your case studies as well as your story toolbox, which you're going to put together. Now, my story toolbox, I typically have on a document on my computer screen during the interview with quick bullet points, purely to trigger me, because when I don't know about you, but when I get into a job interview, it's like, half my brain goes out the door. And I can't remember stuff, and I'm scrambling. So by having some little cheat sheets, you can kind of trigger yourself, and it makes you more fluent because you just look at it, you glance at it, and obviously you don't want to be reading during a job interview because that looks a little weird. So that's just an idea. So that was number 5 right there. Here's another one. I'm going to give you more than 5. We got number 6. This one rocks. This one is really, really good. It is clicked.com. Anyone out there, any of you guys been through Clicked, been through any team sprint or quests? Let me know in the comments. Let's see here. All right. Do we got any thumbs up or hearts or anything going on? Let's see here. Love Clicked. There we go. Thank you, Christy. Christy is helping old Jerry out here. I appreciate that. Pooja. Oh, yeah, I remember. I want to say I worked with Pooja, maybe. I don't know. I can't remember. So Andre says he hasn't used it. Andre, so here's the deal, buddy. You have got to get connected with Clicked. It's, yeah, there we go. Learn so much. So here's the deal. Clicked is like this combination of experience and working on a project and doing real stuff like a real job, all rolled into one. Career experience on demand. So you go and Clicked, you set up an account, and they have a whole bunch of like team sprints to be as an administrator, team sprints as a business analyst, blah, 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 different categories. And once you join one, usually takes anywhere from 1 to 2 weeks for that sprint to start. Then once it starts, you'll find there's anywhere from like 80 to 120 people that are in on the sprint. then clicked. Now everybody is on a kind of a Zoom call. They have their own software on a Zoom type call, and you're assigned a team, anywhere from typically 2, 3, 4, 5 people. Now you got a team. So you got team A, team B, team C, team D. All of these people will, in their teams, and then you'll have an assignment. And then week 1, you'll do blah, blah, blah. Week 2, you'll do something else. Week 3, then at the end of all of this 4, 5, 6 week sprint, you're going to do a presentation. And then every week you're doing a presentation. Now, mind you, the time commitment is actually not that bad. And you might have to work on a project for a couple hours one day, and then that Thursday, you'll have a presentation for that section that week. Then the next week, kind of the same thing. Then you get together with your team, you work together, you pull together some business analysts. They give you a scenario, like Amazon's marketing department needs help with their Salesforce system, and they need a chat bot produced, blah, blah, blah. So that's the kind of stuff you're working on. Then when it's all done, you end up with a certificate. Salesforce Admin and Analyst Team Sprint. This is one that I did. And this goes in my experience, my project area on my LinkedIn profile. Remember, it's all experience. And it also goes in I use this in my story toolbox. This sprint I have put out on multiple job interviews. Tell me about a time when you did an implementation. Tell me about a time when you were a Salesforce business analyst and you did blah, 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 and I'll bring this up. And I always talk in terms of I was on a project, I worked with a team. I'm not saying, I was only on Clicked and, it was just a class, but I learned some cool stuff. Never, ever say that. I was on a project. Doesn't matter whether you got paid for it or not. Recommendations. I'm going to give you another one. So I told you I'd give you 5 today. Now we're on number 7. Recommendations are highly regarded by recruiters. I didn't completely know this and understand it until I met a guy named Kiro Whitey. Kiro works at a company called Third Republic. They're a recruiting agency. Kiro is in the Dallas market, and he only does Salesforce. And he says he always looks at recommendations. He wants to see what other people are saying about you and how, talented you are and what kind of experience you got. So recommendations are a great thing to get. So one of the things I like to do is, let's see here, is Click.com paid training. No. Click.com is essentially a cross between a job and school. Think of it that way. When you're done with it, you get a certificate and you come out with an actual verifiable experience that you can use in job interviews, for your resume, and for LinkedIn profile. Let's see here. Andre says he's going to get started here. Cool. So back to recommendations. Here's what I did. When I really wanted to get some recommendations, I had like 3 or 4. Now I got 20. I would find people on LinkedIn, and I'd set a time to just hang out with them. Just talk, Zoom call, half an hour, hour. Usually you find out you start talking and then, you're having fun. And then we get to know each other, and now we give each other a recommendation. I give them one, they give me one. And so that's how you can build up some recommendations. See what else? Or, your local Salesforce group members, your buddies that are in the business, people you've done work with, your past boss. So work on those recommendations. Okay, let's see here. Okay, this is just a list here just to kind of give you an idea of what it looks like. On your LinkedIn profile, you scroll down to the bottom. There's a section called recommendations. If you don't see it, there's a button up top. You can add that section. And then essentially people just, they recommend you, you recommend them, or sometimes it's just one or the other. And, it's, you can see my buddy Peter here. He got pretty wordy, thought I was a really groovy guy, I guess. All right. Time for the silver bullet. Pew, pew. We're going to give you one of the coolest ways to show experience. And the beauty of it is it has about 5 components to it that help you leverage experience, help you get more business, help you get a job, help you take contract roles. And it takes a little bit of work to get this going, but it's not hard. It's not hard at all. The silver bullet. Start your own Salesforce consultancy. And initially, you might think, what? How in the heck am I going to start my own Salesforce consultancy? Here's what I'm going to say. It's easy. I mean, it's so easy. You know what the difference between a business owner and somebody who doesn't have a business? A piece of paper that typically costs about $25 from the state. That's it. You go to the state of Arizona, the state of Washington, California, whatever. They all have a, Department of, what do they call it? Where they collect revenue, Department of Revenue or a business licensing department. In Washington State, you can get a business license for $25. $25. That's it. You go and you file it online. It takes about 10 minutes. You fill out all the paperwork. You pay your money. And then about a week later, you get a certificate in the mail and says, you're a business owner. That's it. You are now officially a business owner. So here's why you want to start your own Salesforce consultancy. First of all, you can get your own clients. I mean, if you had 2 or 3 clients, each paying you $5,000 a month, which, by the way, in the world of consulting is cheap. Cheap. But if you had 3 clients paying you $5,000 a month to simply be the administrator, first of all, that's a lot less than they would have to hire somebody. Second of all, it's 1/10 of what a larger consultancy charges. But then now you're knocking down $15,000 a month in revenue to your own consultancy, right? Well, we're going to talk about that. So anyway, you can get your own clients. So that's one right off the bat. I mean, that's huge. Once you start getting your own clients and you get even just one, now all of a sudden having to get a job is not, you're not stressing out, about interviews and all that because you got some backup revenue coming in. Here's another reason why you want to start your own Salesforce consultancy. You can get recruiters call you all the time, and their clients who are trying to hire somebody, many of them, probably 50 to 70%, are flexible. Hey, we just need somebody. Come work for us. You can come as a W-2 employee. You can do a contract to hire. You can do a 1099. You can do what they call C2C, corp to corp work. That just means your corporation does business with their corporation. And then they tell you, hey, we're paying $50 an hour. You invoice them at the end of the month for your hours or every 2 weeks, and they pay you. They pay your company. They don't pay you personally. They pay your company. So that gives you a ton of flexibility. You can do any of those. I tell them all the time when they say they prefer corp to corp, I'm like, rock and roll. Let's do it. Corp to corp. Money is money is money. Also, you are not a freelancer. Stop using the term freelancer. I don't like the term freelancer. When I hear the term freelancer, it's kind of like, oh, there's Marcy. She's so cute. She's like, 21, just fresh out of college, and she's a freelancer. She makes art paintings in her studio. I don't know. That's just me. Sometimes, maybe they want a freelancer, but businesses do business with other businesses, right? So here's another one. You can work for your own company. As a matter of fact, the federal government actually wants you to be an employee of your company. If you talk to an accountant and you formed an LLC or a small corporation, he's going to say, yeah, IRS does not want you to just be pulling money out of your business. They want you to be an employee and pay employee taxes. So here's the beauty of this. Now that you own the company and you work for the company, you can give yourself any job you want. You're the boss. You're the business owner, right? You can give yourself any job title you want. You can change your job title. I'm going to show you how it works here in a second. You can write lots of stuff off. You can write off gas and advertising, all this stuff. You have flexibility. And then never, ever, ever, ever. Now, this is if you want the flexibility of taking clients, getting a job, all this. You never want to show your experience section that you're the owner, CEO, president, founder. A lot of people do that. I'm the founder. I own the company. I'm the business owner. And they kind of like, they're proud of it. Well, if all you're doing is trying to get clients as a business owner, that's probably fine. But if you want that flexibility to, get a job through a recruiter, don't put any of that stuff on there because it's just kind of sort of begs questions and causes red flags. And so if they ask you, you can tell them. But guess what? I promise you, 95% are never, ever going to ask. Okay, here's how to start. Step 1. I recommend forming an LLC. I'll tell you why. Because the one below that is what they call a sole proprietor. And it's a little bit easier. It's a tiny bit less expensive. And it's not quite as much book work. But as a sole proprietor, you are the business. So my name is Jerry Sherstead. And if I go get a business license with the state of Arizona as a sole proprietor, I am Jerry Sherstead doing business as ABC Consulting. I don't like that. All these rich guys and all these corporate guys that make billions of dollars, they invented this system. And there's parts about it I really like. For instance, when you're an LLC, the LLC is its own person, its own entity. You are over here. Your LLC is over here. Now, you work for the LLC as an employee. Just so happens you own the LLC, but the LLC is its own little thing, its own entity. You, in that such scenario, you are not the company. In a sole proprietor, you are the company. So then step 2, get a cool one-word name. Now, my suggestion is that you create a brand that makes potential clients look at it and go, oh, yeah, these guys are solid. You don't even want them thinking about whether you got your stuff together. But if you're called, Billy Bob's consulting business, kind of corny, kind of cornball. It's going to make a lot of people look at it and go, what? Yeah, they're just naturally not going to want to do business. So look at all the big boys. Accenture. What does Accenture mean? I have no idea. Slalom. Okay. I know what the word slalom means, but they're literally one of the largest Salesforce consultancies in the United States, if not the world. But slalom. So you find a word, you can make up a word. There's a lot of things you can do. And you come up with a name that makes people have confidence and gives you credibility out of the gate. Because when businesses are trying to decide whether to do business with a new business, they're making these initial calculations. And if they're feeling uncomfortable or they feel like you don't have any credibility or you don't know what you're doing, they're just going to pass you by. Next step is you're going to create a clean, simple, cool logo. If you just look at a bunch of logos. Accenture, Slalom, Nike, Converse. You look at all these logos, and what you're going to find is that they're just simple. They don't have like pictures of babies and dogs and flowers and none of that stuff. So clean, simple, cool logo. Now, once you got your LLC, and you're officially a business, which, by the way, creating an LLC probably takes like a couple of days. LegalZoom is a great place to go because I think they have a free program where you form it. They just want to get you in so that you can do more business with them. And then you got to pay your filing fees. Now, every state is different on LLC filing fees. State of Washington is like, I don't know, $175. State of Arizona is like $50. It's cheap, super cheap. So then now you got your LLC, you got your logo. Now you're going to go into LinkedIn. You're going to create a company page, right? You're going to create a company page with your branding, your logo, your marketing slogan, all that stuff. And now you're going to add a job, or you're going to add experience to your experience section as working for your new company. Okay. You can also build your own website, which I actually recommend. So now you're going to add this to your experience section working for your company. And remember, you can give yourself any title you want. Don't add founder, CEO, owner, blah, blah, blah. You know, if you're targeting Salesforce administrator, that's the job title you're going to do. If you're targeting Salesforce business analyst, that's the job title you're going to give yourself. And then as you pick up little jobs from clients, even if they're just little small bitty ones, or even if it's with one of your groups, your local admin groups, you're going to create that story for your story toolbox. You're going to create that case study. And now when you're in a job interview, hey, tell me about ABC Consulting, wink, wink. Yeah, I did a project there. And you're going to be talking about some of the projects you did. That's all they're going to ask. So here we go. Here's some logos to look at. Deloitte, Accenture, Simplus, Coastal Cloud, Candy Box. I actually like Candy Box. That's kind of cool. IBM Consulting. Yeah, it's like, that's original. Deloitte, you see Deloitte, that's all you got to see. You pretty much, get it. Here's what I did. This is the process that I personally went through. So I came up with the name Sumo Lab. I can't even begin to tell you how I came up with that word. I actually have a process. I've been in marketing for, 25 plus years. I have a process that I go through, and I have about 10 tools that I use, and I create just tons and tons and tons of words. And in those words, sumo kept coming up. I love the word sumo. It's used by some other companies. And then this thought process about lab. The lab is where we create all this technology and marketing automation. We grow businesses. So it's something that I could use across multiple clients. So came up with Sumo Lab. I formed an LLC in the state of Arizona called Sumo Lab LLC. And if you know anything about DBAs, most states will allow as many DBAs as you want. A corporation can do business as Bob's Landscaping. A corporation can do business as Susie's Knitting Service. You can have a string of LLCs in business. So anyway, I kept mine simple. I wanted to use Sumo Lab. So my corporation is Sumo Lab LLC, and my business name is Sumo Lab, doing business as Sumo Lab. Never, ever, ever, this is marketing 101. Do not put LLC in your front-facing consumer marketing. You never see a car drive down the freeway and on the side it says Ford Corporation. No, they just got a little indicia that says Ford. But the company that owns Ford is Ford Corporation. So don't put Sumo or LLC in your name. My slogan right now is cost-effective technology consulting. And my domain name was sumolab.co. Sumolab.com was already taken, but I wanted something short and sweet. .co is pretty popular these days. The beauty of it is now you got an email, jerry@sumolab.co. And I also create a domain pointer, which forwards to Zoom. So now if I got a client, I just go to zoom.sumolab.co and boop, they're right there in the same room with me on my Zoom account. Let's see here. We got my man here, Jonathan. Okay, so there's the logo that I designed. I like it. You can see it's got like a little sumo guy. That's the Sumo Lab, cost-effective technology consulting. There's my website, sumolab.co, exorbitant Salesforce costs, lighting the way to eliminate exorbitant Salesforce costs. That's part of kind of what I'm working on these days is having pricing. By the way, your larger consultancies, they charge between $275 and $375 an hour. You could be at $150 an hour and be less than half. Just kind of a little side note. There's my company page on LinkedIn, Sumo Lab. Your outsourced Salesforce administrator and CRM consultant. I got to fix that. I need to get back to keep everything consistent. Cut your Salesforce management costs, cost-effective technology consulting. So that's my company page on LinkedIn. All right, couple of takeaways here as we wrap up. The certification debate. Certifications are beneficial, especially for beginners, but they don't overshadow real-world experience. I've worked multiple roles over the past 20 years, never had a certificate or certification. I didn't get my admin cert until like 8 months ago. So, yeah, it's nice, especially if you're brand new. If you're brand new, you know nothing about Salesforce and you want to get into the ecosystem, you got to get that cert because that process of going through Trailhead and getting your cert is going to teach you about the system. And now you got to get some experience. But I already kind of had the experience from years ago. And so certification was not at the top of my priority list, but I went ahead and jumped through it. And even though I've been playing around with Salesforce all these years, it was still hard. That is a hard test. Stepping stones. Little words of encouragement. Think of each job interview as a stepping stone. If you bomb, shake it off and move on. You're going to bomb. I bombed so many interviews I can't even see straight. I just take notes and I try to figure out what I did wrong, and then I move on and do a better job next time. So get back on that horse. LinkedIn is your number one tool. I always say this, and I say this every class, don't complain on LinkedIn. If the world's getting you down, you're depressed, your dog died, you got a flat tire, you can't get a job interview, the last place on earth you want to be spouting off and complaining and talk about how life sucks is on LinkedIn, because that is the area, that is the marketplace where all of your future recruiters and hiring managers live, see, and breathe and talk. And if you're just on there complaining, it just doesn't look good. So complain to your wife and your mom and your brother, your sister, or Dr. Phil, but do not complain on LinkedIn. Now I'm talking about heavy duty complaining, not the occasional like observation complaining. It's a professional marketplace. Everything you post on your list forever. And it's kind of like peeing in your own swimming pool. Think about that one. Google XYZ. This is a must. I'm giving you these things as musts. You guys got to do these things. On your resume and your LinkedIn experience page, you got to use the Google XYZ method. You can't just say, I was in charge of entering users into the org. So you're going to use the Google XYZ method, which is I accomplish X as measured by Y by doing Z. Every single bullet is going to follow that blueprint. So just Google the Google XYZ method, and you can also pull that into ChatGPT. ChatGPT will format your bullets for you using that method. Your tools. Here's my top 4 tools. This is pretty much all I use. Well, I should have put ChatGPT on there because I use that all the time. But job boards, LinkedIn, and your profile. You get your profile firing on all 8 cylinders. Let me tell you something. You'll have so many recruiters calling you, you'll get irritated. You'll be annoyed. And that's kind of a good thing, right? Yeah, I average between probably 6 and 10 recruiters call me every single day. Every single day. And so now you start getting a little bit picky and choosy. Now, mind you, it's important that you're in a job area industry that has jobs and has some demand, right? Indeed. I use Indeed and I use Dice. I got my resume posted on Dice. Indeed, don't forget, you want to use Teal or something like it, because every single resume submission you make has to be customized. And if you're thinking in your head, it takes too long, well, you're going to spend 8, 9, 10 hours anyway. So in one sense, you can spend 8 hours and pump out 60 resumes to job postings, or you can send 30. The 30 is going to get you twice as many interviews. So you got to customize. Otherwise, you're not even getting past the ATS system. And that's it for me. You can reach me on LinkedIn. Follow me at #JerryRigged. You can connect with me at bookjerry.me. And let me come back over here. There we go. I'm so glad you guys came today. I really appreciate it. I had a lot of fun. I love teaching and I love talking about some of the things that I've experienced, whether they're good or bad. I'm going to tell you either way. And I just want to just kind of encourage you, because I know some of you folks out there are getting very, very depressed and you're getting down on yourself. And, after you submitted 100 resumes and you're getting nothing, usually there's something wrong in your process. So you fix that one thing and all of a sudden things start happening. And if you get your LinkedIn profile really rocking and rolling, trust me, you won't even have to send out resumes. You'll have so many recruiters calling you. So that's something to think about as well. So keep your chin up, keep a smile on your face, stay positive, and all you got to do is hang in there. Just hang. Just stay. Just stay the course. And it's like eating an elephant. You do it one bite at a time. So thanks for hanging out with us. And we're going to, let's see here. What else do I got? Nothing else I can think of. That's it. So I'm going to leave you with this, my little outro. I like to have music because music is always fun. Take care. Have a great week. And thanks for listening in on the Jerry Rigged Podcast.
The Jerry Rigged Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on Apple, Spotify, or Google. Business technology for CEOs, managers, and business owners. We're here to deliver insights and strategies without the fluff. This is the Jerry Rigged Podcast.